What if the breakdown you're resisting is actually your soul whispering? Welcome to Catalyst of Change, the space where we explore what it means to lead with soul, create with intention, and serve from the heart. Today's guest is Sabine MacDonald, a managing partner at The Sound of Sea, founder and CEO of Nexa Avenue, and author of the powerful new book, The Whispering Butterfly. Through her story and her own lived experience, Sabine sheds light on what so many are feeling: disconnection, burnout, and a quiet longing for something more. This is a conversation about courage, clarity, and the journey back to joy, especially for those in leadership who have forgotten what it means to feel truly alive. Let's dive in. I'm so excited for this conversation, Sabine, and thank you for being with us today.
I'm excited as well. Thank you, Alexia, for having me.
Well, as you can see here, The Whispering Butterfly, I was sharing with you how I just finished the book and I was reflecting on your book launch. And I have to say, this book spoke to me so deeply. And it is something that so many people can relate to. And I won't go into too many of the details because I want everyone to get it and read it themselves. But I was wondering, what really inspired or sparked the creation of The Whispering Butterfly?
Yeah, it is a story which I went through as well. And I felt this story had to be told. The story is about a woman who's losing herself in the world of hustling, in the world of too many tasks, too many responsibilities, too many things going on, an overflow of communication, an overflow of demand. And we sometimes feel lost. And I was at that point. I was overworked and I was burned out. And I had to change it. And I had to make a change in my life as well. And that was the start of a journey. But only after years and years of self-discovering, I actually thought my story needs to be written down and needs to be coming alive in a book where I can help more people than only me.
And do you feel like writing the book was also like something that was like cathartic in a way for you as well? Like, what did you get through going through this process and sharing your story?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. I didn't expect that at all. I just wanted to write my story. And while I was writing the story, it was like my own therapy. And people say that, writing is therapy, but I never believed it. But suddenly I felt it by myself. Just to tell you, in the beginning, for example, I couldn't start. There was a blockage in myself to start writing my story. Why? Because I had to go back to the place where I was feeling exhaustion, where I was feeling burned out, and I didn't want to. My inner self didn't want it to relive this story. So I had to find the courage to go there again, to write it out for others. So yes, it was really helpful for myself to write down my feelings, to be clear on what it meant to me and why I wanted to change. And it helps anybody to write it down, to get this clarity for themselves as well. I can only recommend it. It doesn't have to be a book. It can also be a little diary or some notes you're writing to yourself. But I can just recommend to anybody to write down thoughts because it is therapeutic.
Absolutely. And, if I would like to jump back to before the book, back to that place you shared. You work with many high-level executives around the world, like top executives in these roles that are dealing with insurmountable amount of, like you said, tasks and demands and requirements and pressure. And so just to paint a picture, for some of the listeners or the viewers, what was that life like for you? Like, what were you up to in your life at that time?
Yeah, I was a high-level executive by myself. So it was a very, very stressful moment in my life where you cannot achieve to read all your emails. Your calendar is booked double and triple sometimes. You don't have time even to go to the toilet. And everybody demands decisions. Everybody demands results. And it's just you're in this machine where you cannot get out easily. And I needed to find a way to get out by myself. And I didn't find it out by myself. My body had to shut down before I found my way out.
Mm-hmm. And this is interesting because this topic, if you call it burnout or people having literally physical response to a lifestyle, is a theme, is like a golden thread through a number of our episodes. We've had this brought forward quite a bit, and actually significant amount of women as well. And I'm just wondering, do you see any correlation between being a woman and being in these situations and how we run our lives?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like we as women have a double, not maybe even triple task in life, and we have to prove ourselves more than men. First of all, as a woman, we most of the time have also kids. So we are the main caregiver in most of the time and also want to be successful at work. So it's I always we're saying, I have work A and I have work B. And it starts, 3 hours before you're actually starting work. And when you come back from work, you have another 3 hours taking care of your kids and the household. So that is already a double task. And within the work as well, we have to prove ourselves because we know all the statistics.
Yes.
Women are underrepresented everywhere. And the higher you get, the less women you will see.
Yes.
So we have to show our case and prove ourselves and prove the world that we are valid for it much more than any man.
This reminds me, I was at it's called Women Advancing Together. It's like a 1-week intensive at Harvard. And I was there earlier this year and they had this statistic they shared and I was flabbergasted. Yes. They said in the executive level, so basically a decision-making level. So they didn't even count the boards or advisory committees. So they said anyone at the table making the decisions, executive level of top corporations. They did a whole study. It was a massive global study, and they said 12% were women, and women of color was less than 5%. So it was shocking for us. I mean, for me. And the top percentage per, if you look at each individual country, was 30. So it was still significantly lower than being equal. So I thought that was really interesting. So exactly what you're saying, and it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
We need to change that.
We definitely do. Yes. And I think one of the things, maybe you can guide me because I'm trying to navigate, I don't want to give away the end of the book, but I do kind of want to talk about it a little bit. So I'm what's appropriate? I don't know. You can tell me, but the idea of what happens at the end of the book, let's just say that.
Yes.
I experienced myself, and what I enjoyed about it was how integrated it was. So how it occurred to me is rather than escaping entirely, it actually showed we can integrate into the existing world and actually impact change. And so I'm wondering, how did you get to that decision to make that part of the message? Hundreds of Love, Peace, Harmony volunteers work tirelessly in their local communities to bring healing, connection, and inspiration to those who need it most. From supporting underserved families to offering live support in times of crisis, these volunteers make a profound difference every day. With your help, these vital community programs can continue. Even a small monthly donation of $10 can transform lives and empower communities. Make your impact today at lovepeaceharmony.org.
You know, Alexia, it was really funny because the book has 3 parts, actually. The first part is showing the audience how Maya, the main character, actually breaks down and where she is living and what pressure she has to live with. And she makes the decision to actually stop and escape and not run away, but take a break and breathe. And she decided to go on an island. And at the island, she rediscovers another culture and she rediscovers as well herself. And that's what I wanted to write. That was part 2, the island. But then I said, hold on, Sabine. 99.9% of anybody out there will never, ever escape and stay on an island. I have to bring Maya back. So that's what I did. In part 3, I brought Maya back with what she has lived through in the island and see how she can change herself, empower herself in the environment she has lived for so long. And that's the story. And for some, it is a nice story, nice read over the summer. And for some, it had a massive impact already. Mm-hmm. An impact of stopping, thinking about what is actually happening to me. Am I happy in what I'm doing? Am I the right person for the job I am in? And it also had for some people the impact of change. People who said, I need to change. I had one friend of mine who actually called me up and said suddenly, I quit my job. Wow. And I was like, wow, congratulations. Yeah. And she said, I realized I didn't take time for what I really wanted to do in life. And that's why I stopped. And that's the change this book can bring if you let it to be.
I love how you say if you let it. And it makes me wonder, like, have you in that journey of change, like, have you ever encountered resistance? And if you did, like, how did you manage that? Or what did you do to move through it?
There's always resistance. Always. Because it's so much easier to stay where you are than go out and jump off the cliff and do something else. It requires tremendous courage. Even though we know we are not happy, we don't change. Because the fear, what is coming next, the fear of the unknown is too big to overcome. That's the reason why so many people don't want to change. So what helped me is making this fear smaller than it is. You know, it's a mindset. It's a shift in your brain, just telling yourself, not a lie, but telling yourself it will be good, it will be okay, it will be better, it will be more joyful, and it will be much more aligned with yourself.
So for any of our viewers or listeners in terms of a practice, if that might be something they're experiencing, it sounds like to me it's almost like becoming aware of your thoughts and like recreating them. How is it that you do that? Do you have a practice or anything specific that you do to action that?
Yeah, there are actually quite a few practices I'm doing. just to keep sanity in this world we are living right now. So one thing I'm actually doing is in the morning, I'm meditating. I know it's not for everybody, but it tremendously helped to reset in the morning, how I start the day and how I continue the day. Starting with the guided meditation, which helps you to start positive. That tremendously helped me. In the evening, I reflect on the day and I'm writing down things I'm grateful for, things which really went well. And it helps me to be thankful for what has happened, what has occurred in my life, even the littlest things, a smile, a thank you note, a nice review about my book. I'm writing it down to say thank you to myself, to others, and to the world. And I'm also, at the same time, always write what has happened successfully to celebrate myself. Because celebration in life triggers more celebration, more success. Because we need to keep and stay positive. So that really helped me. And if you ask me now, what do you do in that moment, not in the morning and not in the evening? What I'm doing when I catch my negative thoughts, first you have to catch it. Most of the time we don't catch it. And you won't believe 80% of our thoughts are actually negative.
Wow.
And we don't catch it because it's programmed, it's subconsciously. So you need to train yourself to listen to yourself, to listen to your thoughts. And whenever you have a negative moment, stop. I breathe. I hold still for a moment. And then I reframe it. And you will catch me as well doing it with others. So every time I hear something negative, I help myself and others to reframe it. Say it positively. People say, I can't do that. Say, I can't do it yet. Or I will do it in future. So it is already shifting your mind to a whole sea of possibilities instead of shutting it off.
So is this work also something you do with clients, like when you work with executives, things like that? And
yes.
Yeah. How has it been facilitating that work? Like, what have been some of the outcomes or results of that?
I would say 80% of everything we are doing in companies, if you do a mindset shift with the people, the outcome will be there. What I see in companies, we're too much focused on outcomes, on projects, on processes, on KPIs, and we are not focusing on the people. We have some trainings here and there, we have some coaching here and there, but seeing the people holistically and helping them to go this extra mile, helping them to find purpose in what they're doing, helping them to be motivated to do that. That is a work I see rarely in companies. And I know that for a fact because I realized it by my own self when I was an executive with a big team. When I did the shift on focusing on the people instead of the projects and the outcomes, I suddenly had better results. And that's the reason why we need to do this shift of focusing on the people instead of the outcomes and the processes and the KPIs.
Yes, that's so significant, I feel like. And I guess my curiosity to just go a little bit deeper into that, especially for anyone listening who may be in that situation, be a decision maker, be able to make some changes. Like, how were you able to make that shift in the sense and yeah, like how were you able to make that shift? And I will follow up with a because perhaps a lot of people focus on what is the return.
Yes.
So how did you, before having that result, that you're now able to say, okay, the outcome has shifted and I had a result from that. So how were you able to, get people on board to actually make that shift?
The shift came when I actually decided to do a coaching certification. I did it primarily for myself. I wanted to learn more about it. But then I coached teams and I coached individuals, executives in my teams. It was, in the beginning, it was just a tryout, because I saw how much impact it had on myself becoming a coach. And I wanted this impact for my people as well. So I coached them. And if you are internally happy, more fulfilled, you transmit it directly to the outcome. So I gave myself this time because I always heard in the past people saying, I don't have time to lead. And this is fundamentally wrong. You need to have this time to lead. You need to have the time to coach as a leader, as a leader of a team, because that is super important nowadays. And it becomes more important every day because we are getting overwhelmed. We are getting into a hustle, into a drain right now, especially with AI, that we need this human touch, the human intelligence in the working space.
Yeah, that's a big shift for sure. And what do you see as a way we could do that?
First of all, it needs to be awareness. A lot of people don't even see it's necessary.
Right.
No? And the awareness comes also as the individual person, the awareness of who I am, where do I want to go? It was really interesting when I was working in Brazil. I had a coach and he said once to me, Sabine, the working space where you are is just a vehicle for you to become who you want to be. And I didn't quite get it at the time what he wanted to say to me, because at that time I, had a title, I had a team, and I became this role within the company. And I lost myself in this role, in this company, with this title. And I lost myself. I lost my own path. I lost my own personality. And now I understand what he meant. First, you by yourself have to decide what you want to be and where you want to go. And then you decide in which company you can fulfill your own purpose. And that's, I feel, a lot of people get it wrong. They seek for a job because of money. They seek for a job because of security. They don't seek a job necessarily because of their fulfillment of their purpose.
And that's something I feel like you bring forward a lot in the book, is like connecting within and like really deeply having an awareness of that purpose and how to bring it forward. Yeah. Do you suggest anything to the viewers and listeners? Like if someone's listening and they think, well, I don't know my purpose, or what I'm trying to find that. I've been, trying for years or whatever it may be. What would you say for that person to guide them?
That's a good question because it's not that easy, and it took me decades as well to find it. At first, I would have never even asked this question in my life. It was only in the last 10 years, I would say, that I kind of, questioned myself. And it's not so easy, to go within. In the beginning, I even had my troubles with even the saying, what does it mean to go within and find yourself within? And what I found, which helped me a lot, is asking yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? Asking yourself, what brings you joy? What really gives you energy? What really brings you forward? What motivates you? What makes you happy? And looking in the past gives you some answers to that. And the why is not found from one day to another. Some have it very, very clear, but I find most of them we don't. And it most of the time is not an answer from one day to another neither. You test and try to see if it works, if it not. And I always find if you are aligned with your purpose, things will flow. So if I see something is not working out as I want to, I correct myself. I was like, okay, it's not where I should go to. It's not where I flow. And then I shift.
This is one of, I think, the big themes that you bring forward is like finding your joy. And what I'm hearing and what you're saying is it's almost like synonymous with purpose. It's like follow that joy in a way. And it makes me think about your journey. Like you mentioned, getting to that point where the body broke down and there's all these, this physical manifestation saying, like you said, I need to make a shift. So do you remember like a moment after that where you felt joy again and you were like, oh my gosh, like I feel myself, I feel my purpose coming alive again? Like what was that like turning point for you?
There are many turning points in life and many moments in life where you finally wake up and say, wow, the butterfly finally can spread the wings and fly. And I had moments where I went away from work, for example, and then I suddenly realized the freedom I have now that I'm on my own and having my own companies, that now I'm in the driver's seat and I don't have to be molded and caged into a system. That was one of the moments where I said, wow, now I can really spread my wings and fly. And that was one of those moments where I felt I didn't see that coming because I was very happy where I was in the company as a executive. And I loved my job as well. But when I shifted, I realized, hold on a minute, I like that even more.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, that in itself sounds like a big leap too. Like that takes a lot of courage because it goes from like an employee mindset, whether an executive, entry level, it's still an employee. When you take a jump to be an entrepreneur, you're like running that ship. You were like the accountability and the level of responsibility and what lies on your shoulders. I feel like it's a big shift. So like, what was that like for you and how did you make that decision to make that shift?
I always make those big decisions without overthinking it. It's just like, close your eyes and jump.
I love it.
Because if you think about it, you're crazy. Don't do that. It's kind of like then those doubts come in, and I don't even let those doubts come in. I'm very, fast in the decisions. As well, when we made, for example, the move to leave Brazil and come to Canada, it was a decision within 10 minutes.
Wow.
We didn't really, like my husband and my child as a family, it was a very quick decision without overthinking it. And I think this is the best because in hindsight, always you think, okay, what drove us to make this decision? You know, we are happy here and we love it and we enjoy it. But I had several times in my life repetitively that the decision was very fast. And then looking back, you're saying, wow, this was crazy.
Wow.
Never regretted it.
Never regretted it. Well, there's some big things in there, like no doubt, not regretting, just taking the leap. And so that's all. It is very courageous and it takes something to do that. So I want to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you.
You know, also for the viewers and listeners that may not have had the background, maybe share with us a little bit about your journey. Like you said, you were in Brazil and now you're in Canada, like you're from Germany. So what has that been like for you, like going to different places in the world and experiencing these cultures? Youth mental health is one of America's most urgent challenges. A vast percentage of United States high school students report persistent sadness or hopelessness. Research shows that art and music therapy can reduce anxiety and depression and strengthen emotional regulation skills. By joining as a Love Peace Harmony member for $35 a month, you help fund healing art and music workshops, mindfulness and emotional wellness programs, and safe spaces for youth connection and confidence, building stronger communities together, bringing healing and hope nationwide. Join us at lovepeaceharmony.org today.
Yeah. Yes, as you said, Alexia, I was born in Germany, but my journey brought me to a lot of countries. I started my career in Germany, but I already have been at this time once to the United States as a high school student, and I just absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved the experience of diving into a complete different culture. So when I started my career, it was very clear for me I wanted this experience again. So I decided again very quickly, within 5 minutes, to go to Spain. I didn't know any Spanish. I had an offer to work there, and I was like, why not? Let's pack everything. My parents were absolutely in disagreement with me because I had a stable job. But I said, let's do it. And I went to Spain, just wanted to stay there actually for 3 months. I stayed for 12 years.
Wow.
And started my career there very young. And I always wanted to look for other cultures as well. So I proposed myself out there that I really want to go to other countries as well, and kind of manifested it as well. And here came the opportunity. I was selected to go for a certain time to Russia, building up a subsidiary there. I was selected to go to Mexico, also helping to grow our subsidiary there. And I moved back to Germany for 6 more years. I went then from there to Brazil to build up a regional center. So, and then the last stop now in Canada was actually not because of a job. It was because of love. My husband was actually always following me to all those different countries. And finally, we were kind of like free in our decision. And he said, you know what? I'm Canadian. I want to go home. And that's why we ended up here in Canada.
Wow, that's a beautiful journey.
It is.
Such an adventure. Like I imagine being young you and your parents are like, don't go. And you're like, I'm doing it.
I know. And I want to also encourage everybody in the audience. Everything is possible, even as a woman. I went to Mexico with my 6-month-old child, and nobody thought it is possible. I hear so many young women even deciding if they should, get a kid or should pursue a career. And I just want to encourage you, everything you want to is possible, even if you have a family. And, my child is now 15 and he traveled with us everywhere. And it also, that is possible.
Wow, that's a beautiful message, because that is a really common theme. I feel like you said nowadays, where a lot of women feel like they need to decide between family, having children, a career, where do I focus? And so it's inspiring, because you're the embodiment of what's possible. You've done this. And what was that like? Like traveling with your son, you said at 6 months, and taking him around the world with you to these places. So how was that for you?
Again, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
There's always a way. If there is a will, there's a way. And this was always my mantra. And it is possible. Yes, I was working full time. So my husband stepped into a role as well, taking care of our son part time. We had nannies. Our trips most of the time were surrounded by my business trips I had. So when we went on vacation, I partially worked on the vacation, and I was lucky enough to have my family with me. So everything is possible. You just need to find the way. And we already stopped thinking because it's not possible, but it is. And there are solutions.
And where do you feel this like faith or this belief, this trust came from within you? Like, was it something you've had your whole life? Is there like a point where you kind of developed it?
Yeah. No, I didn't. And actually, I came from a household where there was always like, no, you can't do that. Why do you do that? Why do you travel so far? You don't need that. Stay grounded. So, no, I didn't came from it, from a background where everything was possible. I rather came from a background where everything was impossible. And I learned that through coaching. I learned through continuous coaching, training, meditation, reflection, to change and to shift. It doesn't come from one day to another. It's like a muscle you train. You need to work on it every day. Even with my negative thoughts, I think I'm not having 80% of negative thoughts anymore, because I trained myself not having them. And they say it's a lifelong journey and a lifelong learning and a lifelong task.
That is such a key, it feels like, because sometimes we can feel, I know, like, for example, at the start of my process with this, it was like, oh, we're going to get to this place on the top of the mountain and just everything is like, clear and bright. And then it's like, wait, that's not the point. There's this whole journey. And like you said, it's like moment to moment to moment. And so that's, inspiring. And I think it's also motivating and encouraging. And it provides this, it requires like a sense of resilience, I feel like, to be able to persevere and to stay fast on that course and to be steadfast on that course. And it really takes something. It takes something. It takes like a strength. And I wonder, like, how do you have that resilience and that strength?
It comes also with experience. And sometimes I feel like the harder the experience, the more resilient you get. The harder the hit becomes, the more strength you gain. So every time something happens, and every single person has those hits in life. Every single person has moments in life where they fall down and you get up. And now, for me, every hit which comes into my life, I see it as an opportunity to grow, to become more resilient, to become a better version of myself. It's not anymore a problem. It's just actually a gift to grow. And just with this mind shift now, knowing that there will come some obstacles, challenges into my life all the time, and the knowledge that it's actually a gift rather than a problem already shifts everything.
Absolutely. It's sort of like makes us ready for whatever comes our way.
Exactly. And it's much more positive.
Yeah.
When you think it's, hey, I'm getting a gift here, instead of, oh, what a problem.
Yes. Yeah. One of our founder of the Peace Harmony Master Sha, his leading teachers, her name is Marilyn Smith. She has a whole story, a whole journey, and she's amazing. And she has this book on gratitude. And what you're sharing, it reminds me of it, because she talks about it's like receiving a prickly package. And so she has this whole story in the book where she talks about like getting a prickly package, but then you open it and there's this like beautiful gift inside. So it's similar in the sense that we could get these challenges or these hardships or whatever might come our way, negativity, negative thoughts, things like that. But we can see it as the gift within and what that actually gives us. And that's so beautiful. Yeah. I'm wondering, is there anything you want to share, any message you'd like to leave our viewers and listeners with today, that we may have not touched on yet? Any words of wisdom or anything from your heart?
Yeah. What comes to my mind is to pursue your dream, to really go and get it. It's there for you. It's there to live it and not only dream about it. And tell you as well that everything is possible what you want in life. Yes, it is hard to get it, and you have to persevere and you have to work for it. However, if you're really persistent, consistent, and disciplined, I'm absolutely sure you will get it. So please continue on your path to joy, continue going for it, and get it.
My goodness, I love this so much. And, that's such a powerful message to pursue our dreams and live our joy.
Exactly.
And, that is something that it is that's another never ending. It's like we can constantly be reinventing, like, what is our dream? What is our joy? And as we evolve, so too can our goals and our dream and our life and like what we wish for. And perhaps once we achieve a dream, like writing a book, there's another dream. There's like that next level. So I feel like you are bringing also that energy of like the infinite and that like anything is possible. Yes. And that's such a beautiful place to be living from and to be sharing with others and to remember, because sometimes in a world that can feel so confining, or if we've grown up, as you had mentioned, in families or in circumstances where maybe we were given the message that, to be careful and that you can't take too many risks and, you gotta, stay on course and just do what's logical. And like, this can inspire us to say, hey, follow your heart, live your joy, live your dream. And that's so beautiful. And you're a shining example of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us on Catalysts of Change today. And I also want to encourage all of the viewers to Click the links below, connect with Sabine. We'll have everything there to encourage all the viewers to click the links below, connect with Sabine, and also, of course, get your own copy of The Whispering Butterfly so that you can experience this amazing journey along with Maya, the character in the book. And I would love to hear in the comments what your experiences are. And I'm sure Sabina would as well, of the beautiful journey that she goes through in the book. Thank you, Sabina, for reminding us that true leadership begins with presence and that it's never too late to choose joy. If this conversation spoke to you, get your copy of The Whispering Butterfly and share it with someone on the edge of their own breakthrough. Follow Sabina's work at The Sound of Sea and Nexta Avenue and begin your journey back to soul-led living. As always, stay present, stay purposeful, and remember, you are the catalyst in your world.